The Student Union Government of University of Benin are mourning the death of Uwaila Mozua. In a statement by the union, they painted the gruesome murder how she was murdered, and the SUG expressed sadness and prayed to God to grant her eternal rest. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the reconstitution of the board of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and the expiration of the term of members appointed in 2016. Members of the new board are Muhammad Lawal, Northwest, Tajuddin Umar, Northeast, Adamu Atta, North Central, Magnus Abe, South-South, Stephen Dike, Southeast, and Pius Akinyelure, Southwest. In a statement, Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, revealed that the new board will be in place for 3 years. We have joining us now petroleum expert, Bala Zaka, Engineer Bala Zaka. He's a chartered accountant as well. It's nice to have you join me this morning, Engineer Zaka. Now, the reconstitution of the board of the NNPC was welcome as to the statutory filling of the post as timely. But one contentious issue that lawyers are drawing attention to is the maintenance of the status quo, of the fact that there are nine members altogether instead of 6 as stipulated by law.
You are right. But the only people who can answer, or the constituency that can answer that, will be the constituency that comprises the aides or the advisors of Mr. President. Because like you rightly said, statutorily it's supposed to be a 6-member board, but what we are seeing is a 9-member board. Nobody can tell what is in the mind of Mr. President, but his advisors and assistants can give that explanation better. Another thing again is this, generally it is a welcome idea, because the tenure of the old board has expired. There is a need for a reconstitution of the new board. Outside that, again, we know that globally, the dynamics are changing, and there will be a need for the injection of new blood, because we need to properly strategize and make sure post-COVID-19 we have things going well within the oil and gas industry of Nigeria and principally within NNPC.
All right, what do you think, because there's a retainment of about 3 of the former members, what do you think will be different at this time that the board is going to do different from what they have done from 2016?
The board members do not have a direct or day-to-day running of the operations. But we will still expect, as the board members, they are above even the strategic levels. That means they are above even the management levels. There are certain things we will really want to make sure we see going on. If you can remember, we were made to understand that from June 2019 till date, we've not been able to produce a liter of petrol or kerosene. We will want to know why the other board couldn't do something about it, though we were made to understand that maintenance activities were going on. If you remember also, in 2018, we recorded losses. In 2019, we recorded financial losses. So we hope that this board will do something about it. At every point in time, the injection of new blood is always expected to catalyze processes and bring about better dynamics.
All right, talk to us about the realignment of the board. Now, the point there is, on one hand, a lot of people watch as saying it is now more of a trying to be politically balanced between the regions and all of that. Others are saying it is originally meant to be a merit-based situation. Talk to us about that.
I always appreciate balancing. I love political balancing. I love regional balancing. I love and I appreciate even economic balancing, as long as it is done in national interest. We should always understand that, as Nigerians, what will bring us and make us stronger is the ability to understand that our diversity is supposed to be the source of our strength. And when you are from diverse background, in this case, probably different regions, different political settings, and probably even sectarian settings, and you come together in national interest to have one unique structure, you are likely to have greater strength. So if there is any deviation from that, then it will not be in the positive good of Nigeria. But like we said, we also need to always do things in tandem with what the Act says. What did the Act say in the constitution of that board? If there is any discrepancy or if there is any non-alliance or compliance, then we also need to ask questions. Because at the end of the day, it is always our good intentions to pray for our leaders that they succeed. But if we see areas where we need to ask questions also, there is nothing wrong in asking our leaders questions.
All right. Bala Zaka, thank you so much for your time on the program this morning. All right, joining me now to discuss this on Skype is engineer and public affairs analyst Bala Zaka. Engineer Zaka, it's good to have you join me right now. Now, it is no longer news that the board of the NNPC has been reconstituted by the president, and he sees the retention of the structure of 9 persons. But talk to us basically, when it comes to the board, what are the roles of the board of the NNPC? We know lots of parastatals, or most of the parastatals of government have boards. But what are their roles really, if we have to break it down for the person on the street to understand?
Well, like I said earlier, the board is not involved in the day-to-day running of affairs of the NNPC. But the board constitutes key personnel or key people or stakeholders that can take decisions that will affect the entire management. In other words, you have, apart from regional members or people that are appointed to represent different regions, the board generally has the group managing director of NNPC. And of course, the group managing director of NNPC is the highest person overseeing everything in NNPC. The board also has the Minister for Petroleum. Of course, the Minister for Petroleum has that overall function on everything that has to do with petroleum or oil and gas in the entire country. Then also a representative of the Ministry of Finance of a country, or in this case of Nigeria, is also a member of the board. Of course, when we say Ministry of Finance, we know that everything that has to do with revenues, one way or the other, or directly, must have a relationship with the Ministry of Finance. Then, of course, for regional balancing or other structural balancing, you can have members from different parts of the country who are expected to be well tutored and probably be practically experienced in the affairs of the oil and gas industry. But as far as day-to-day strategic running of the affairs of NNPC is concerned, they will not be involved. But from their status, you know that they sit high up there. So it's a very high-ranking position, not necessarily overseeing the function of NNPC, but a lot to do with what goes in and out NNPC operations and by extension, oil and gas industry of Nigeria.
All right. Now, the Establishment Act of the NNPC, that's the NNPC Establishment Act, provides Section 1, subsection 2, provides for 6 board members. Now, the president, making it 9, has violated that standard one way or the other, either for balancing or for political reason or for whatever. But are you looking at a likelihood of litigations concerning this?
I will not be surprised if I see litigations. I will not be surprised if Nigerians express their concerns, regardless of how well intended or what the good intentions of Mr. President were when he constituted the board with 9 members, because it violated the act that has to do with NNPC. If for any reason the president wants to have it expanded, of course, these things can always be changed. It can be changed. There is a need to approach the National Assembly or whatever, or the legal or the legislature, and those changes can be effected. And that is why sometimes we say people can have good intentions, but if there are legal procedures or constitutional procedures, I think we will be safe if we go through the constitutional provisions.
Okay. All right. We have to leave you here now. Engineer Bala Zakka, thank you so much for your time on the program.